So Zach Merrett to the Hawks is currently up in the air, and Bailey Humphrey to the Hawks is looking very promising. And the Suns have been aggressive and going after a second superstar as well as Petrarca. Every update you need to know about the trade period is going to be in this video, so let's get into it. G'day guys, ET back with another video. Now the trade period is heating up quickly. It's one of the most exciting we've seen in years. Before I get into the meat and potatoes, all the stuff you really want to know, I'm going to speed run all the little updates, so let's get into it. First up, Oscar Allen from the Eagles has signed with the Lions. The Eagles will be getting back pick 2 in compensation, and yeah, we sort of knew this was going to happen a long time ago, so let's move to the next. Judd McVie from the Demons has signed with Fremantle in exchange for pick 23. Liam Reedy from Fremantle has joined Carlton. Fremantle get picks 50 and 68, and the Blues get 53, 71, and Reedy was playing behind Jackson and Darcy. He's probably never going to get a game, so yeah, just having him developing over the years with those two, he's probably going to be a decent ruckman at the end of the day, so not a bad pickup in my opinion. Malcolm Roses Jr. from the Suns has joined the Swans. The Suns get pick 62, Swans get 51 and 69 in return. Ben Ainsworth from the Suns is exploring his options and is looking to go to Carlton. He could potentially be involved in a big trade with the player I mentioned who might be going to the Suns with Petrarca. Devin Robinson from the Lions is exploring his options and could potentially move to the Eagles. He's seeking more opportunity. Will Brodie from Fremantle is exploring his options and looking to move to Port Adelaide. Apparently, I've just heard this guy's an absolute beast. The only reason he's not getting a game is because Fremantle got a really good midfield, but apparently Will Brodie is really good. Don't know if it's true, but he could potentially be a really nice pickup for Port Adelaide. The Crows are looking at Riley Sanders from the Bulldogs. Pretty good pickup in my opinion if it happens. Nothing official yet. It's just sort of rumours at the moment. But Sanders is only about 20. But he might be one of those players that moves to Tasmania because he's from Tassie. So I'll keep you updated on that one. This one, depending on who you ask, is either minor or major, and that's multiple clubs reach out to Nick Dacos. Look, it's most likely he's never going to leave Collingwood unless he's getting a ridiculous $2.5, $3 million contract from Tasmania, for example. But yeah, it'd be stupid for clubs not to look at him, considering Collingwood's list is aging very rapidly. They have pretty much no youth, and I would not be surprised if Nick Dacos won a Brownlow or two and then moved to Tassie in a few years. But yeah, I'll keep you updated on that. This is my favourite move of the trade period so far, without a doubt. Sam Flanders from the Suns has moved to the Saints in exchange for pick 7. Great pickup by the Saints. He's an absolute gun, super underrated. He was playing out of position in 2025. In 2024, he averaged 30 off half-back and was the 10th highest rated player in the league, and I think he was only about 22, 23 years old. So this is a really good pickup from St Kilda, and he's only about 24, 25 at the moment. So super young, perfect for their current and future when it comes to the rebuild. And yeah, I'm excited to watch the Saints next year. I'll straight up say it right now. If they get all 5 of the recruits that they're supposed to, that being Liam, Ryan, and Alika Lear from the Suns as well, they're going to be an absolute menace. I'm going to do a video on St Kilda because I feel like they're going to take the jump that Adelaide did in 2025 and the Hawks did in 2024. They both added 4 to 5, not even superstars, not superstars at all actually, sort of just decent players, good role players, and their whole team just excelled after that. Because think about it, you had 4 or 5 players, especially players not into your 22, 23, but into your best 18, that essentially makes your entire bench better because these players are just coming onto the field as upgrades. So yeah, very excited to watch the Saints next season. Just a mini update on Jamarra Ugle-Hagan. So I mentioned in my last video the Suns are interested, and they still are, and they're willing to pay for him. Not the full contract, but yeah, by the looks of it, the contract's going to be ripped up the way Ugle-Hagan is going, and it could potentially be around half of what it is, and he's on about $800K at the moment. But at the end of the day, the Suns are more interested in the fact that he would come cheap. And a player known as Connor Budrick has already requested a trade to the Dogs earlier this month. Only played 55 games. He's a utility for the Suns, but yeah, he could be added in the trade. But no real update on that just yet. Now onto the main part of the video, the meat and potatoes, the stuff you really want to hear, so stay tuned. Now, Essendon's list manager Matt Rosa has basically said they're not trading Merrett. They don't want to trade him unless they get a ridiculous package. I've heard rumours. I don't know if they're true, but I've heard rumours, so I'm going to tell you a few. Essendon basically want minimum 2 first rounds plus a decent player. Look, I've seen this year's first round, next year's first round, and potentially a Scrimshaw or a Cam McKenzie. Nah, not going to happen. Hawthorn aren't doing that for a 30-year-old. Yes, Merrett would potentially lead us to a grand final next year, but for the future, yeah, nah, it's not a good long-term investment, especially Scrimshaw and Cam McKenzie. They're great players already, so imagine in a couple of years when they're pretty much in their prime, yeah, it's not going to happen. So basically, both sides are being pretty stubborn. And the thing is, Hawthorn, people keep forgetting this. Hawthorn do not want to trade any future picks because those future picks are going towards Butters in next off-season. And then if Butters falls through, they're going to go after Walsh because the way Carlton are going, if Carlton lose Curnow this season, they're probably going to lose Walsh next season because he's in free agency, I believe. So, yeah, it's probably going to happen. But I really don't get why Essendon aren't asking for at least a package evolved around Henry Hustwaite and Jai Sarong. Both guys are 21 and 22 years old, I believe, or within a year or so of that. And plus Hawthorn's first round pick this year. They have a pick 30 as well, so a second rounder. Yes, they're not as valuable as their first look because of all the compensation in the draft, etc., etc. But let's say a package around pick 8. Pick 30, Hustwaite, Sarong. Hawthorn also pick 42, 61, 76, which are basically not worthless, but close to. But say they just put in heaps of lower value picks, for example, plus those two players. Because otherwise, what are Essendon going to do? They're eventually going to have to give in, realistically, because of all the drama that's going on behind the scenes with Essendon. And the speeches at Essendon's BNF night basically indicate that Merrett's out the door. But yes, from Essendon's perspective, you want to be stubborn and get as much back as possible. But at the end of the day, if they don't trade him, they're in a worse position than if they only get one first round and one second round this year, really. So, yeah, it's going to happen the last day of the trade period. We just don't know when. Now, Bailey Humphries to the Hawks. Yes, the Suns have openly said that they're not going to trade him. He's under contract. It's not going to happen. But I've seen a few rumours going around that if you could potentially trade Humphreys, and they have plenty of assets. They have a ridiculous amount of assets now. They had pick 7 from the Flanders trade. Trade Humphreys, flip him for the player I mentioned in the intro, Charlie Curnow. Let me explain. Don't get me wrong, Humphreys is not going to come cheap. He's a really good player. He was picked 6 in 2022. Hasn't had an outstanding career so far by any means, but he's definitely a good player nonetheless. Now, the Hawks have pick 8, pick 30, and pick 42, which are the 3 picks of relevance, and then potentially, let's say, a future second next year. I did say they're not going to trade futures because they want Butters, but a future second would be realistic. And then the Suns would then have pick 6, 7, 8, 14, 17, 30, 35, 51, and potentially 42, for example. And that's not even mentioning future first rounds in 2026 and 2027, plus future second rounds as well in both those years. So that's just, if you tell me you can't get Curnow and Petrarca for that, I'll say you're lying. They could 100% make that happen. And also, the rumours about Jai Sarong going to the Swans, that package would, roughly off the top of my head, it would include a pick 31 from the Swans and pick 62 for Sarong and pick 42. That's most likely what would happen. So now replace that pick 42 from the Hawks with a pick 31. The Suns would then have pick 6, 7, 8, 14, 17. That's 5 first round picks in this year's draft, plus 30, 31, 35. That's 3 more second round picks. That's just this year. Then they got 2 future firsts in 2026 and 7. Also a second round pick in each of those years. So that's 7 first rounders and 4 second rounders over the next 3 years. You're telling me they can't get Curnow and Petrarca? And then let's say Hawks pay over. So let's say Hawthorn trade 8, 30, 31, plus they just throw in their next highest pick 50 in for Humphreys. And the Suns could then use pick 51, another pick in the 50, 69, 73, and put those 4 picks together and just chuck them in for extras just to get the deal done over the line. They have a ridiculous amount of assets, the Suns, and I could definitely see this trade happening. And then from the Hawks' perspective, Humphreys is just the best available player right now. 21 years old, fits the timeline, 15.5 touches, over a goal a game, 25 for the season off 23 games, 6 score involvements, 4 tackles. In my opinion, he's already an upgrade over Warple when it comes to potential. Maybe in the second half of 2026, if the trade happens, Humphreys could be given more production than Warple was. So, yeah, it's a win for both parties, in my opinion. Let me know if this trade happens, because in my opinion, this is definitely realistic, especially if Gold Coast get overs for Humphreys. But at the end of the day, Gold Coast right now, the way they're looking, they're most likely to get Petrarca with pick 6 and 7 or a package evolved around that. And then what else do they have? Pick 8, 14, 17, and futures for Curnow. And they can just give Carlton the package. Plus Budrick or whatever I said earlier, whatever his name is. Throw that guy into the package for Carlton. And tell me why that wouldn't work. Can someone explain to me? And they have all these later picks and just... it's going to happen. I reckon Curnow and Petrarca to the Suns. Thank you for watching the video. Comment down below, what do you reckon the trade packages would look like for Kerner and Petrarca, and potentially Bailey Humphreys as well. I think this is going to be the biggest 3 or 4 days coming up in the trade period ever, potentially ever of all time when it comes to the AFL, excluding maybe like a ridiculous superstar that's getting traded. But yeah, it's going to be exciting. Follow, like, subscribe if you want to stay in the loop for all the updates. I'm going to have them here first on ET Footy.
Yeah, leave.